dear rockstars of PGCET MCA 2024. So guys, this side Komal Gamlani Santani here welcomes you all in the ongoing amazing series of 1000 MCQs on MCA Mathematics. So guys, hope all of you are doing well, and I really hope that you have watched the previous lectures of simple interest and compound interest and you have practiced all the exam oriented question well. So guys, before we proceed and start to our today's rocking session on ratio and proportion, guys, let me just give you a brief introduction about the wonderful Samrat PGCET 2024 batch that you can join only at Dhruvika Academy. So guys, let me first tell you that first 200 admissions, yes guys, first 200 admissions students are going to get this course at the cost of rupees 2499. So guys, my screen is not visible to you. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. So guys, I'm back. I hope now you can hear me properly and the slides are also clearly visible to you. Yes? If yes, then please let me know in the live chat so that we can proceed. Very sorry for the technicalities. So I really hope it has sorted. So let me know in the chat box, live chat box, that everything is smooth and you can see the slides, hear my voice, everything is clear. Alright, so let's begin our today's session. So before I proceed to the concept of ratio and proportion, let me just give you a brief introduction about the Samrat batch that you can join at Dhruvika Academy. So guys, this is a wonderful batch providing complete coverage to the subjects of MBA and MCA of PGCET. And most important thing guys, you can join this batch at a very nominal cost. That is, for MBA the cost is 2499 and for MCA the cost is 2699, and the last date for the registration is 7th Feb. So guys, quickly get yourself registered, and this special prize is available to first 200 applicants. So guys, quickly get yourself registered and avail wonderful features like you can watch the classes live on the Dhruvika Academy app that you can download from the Play Store, whose link you can find in the description box. Then if due to some contingency or emergency you miss the live class, you can cover it from the recorded classes, and we are providing complete syllabus coverage along with 50 mock tests in which you will be provided the benefit of ranking across Karnataka. So guys, most important benefit of this batch is that once you join this batch, you will get access to all the upcoming batches till September. And along with the 50 mock tests, we are also providing you weekly mock test, class test, so that you can practice much more questions and get an ace in the examination, and you may overcome all the anxiety, nervousness, everything here only, and go with full confidence in the exam. So guys, quickly get yourself registered, and also as I have mentioned in the previous classes, you need to join our WhatsApp community and Telegram community to get notifications regarding the live sessions, notes, everything. So guys, make sure that you do these three things: download the app from the Play Store, join our WhatsApp and Telegram community by clicking the link mentioned in the comment box, and yes, make sure that you subscribe our YouTube channel also. So without any delay, let's begin our today's session where we are going to study about ratio and proportion. So first of all, we'll quickly understand the concept of ratios and proportion, and then we are going to do exam oriented questions of ratio and proportion. So let's begin our session guys. So ratio, what is basically ratio? What is basically ratio? Ratio is that mathematical tool through which you compare two or more than two quantities of the same kind. What do? You compare two or more than two quantities of the same kind so that you are able to establish a quantitative relationship between or among those quantities. And which operation you use to establish this quantitative relationship? It's nothing but the division. That is, you divide the quantities in order to establish the quantitative relationship. Now this definition is actually containing all the important properties of ratio that we are going to quickly cover up in today's session and then practice its question. So guys, property number 1: two or more quantities are compared by the operation of division. Okay, by the operation of division. We have got a lot of operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, but here we basically use the operation of division. Okay, then property number 2: how do you express ratio guys? How do you express ratio? It is expressed as A upon B, which is written as A is to B, right? We Write A upon B and pronounce it how? A is to B. A is to B. Now this first term, A, we call it as antecedent. What we call it? Antecedent. And the second term, we call it as consequent. Second term, we call it as consequent. So make sure that you know these terms, because many a times the question is being asked, the ratio of two numbers is this, antecedent is this, and you need to find consequent. So you need to be aware that first term is known as antecedent and second term is known as consequent. See, I have taken example. Suppose we have the marks of two students A and B, 13 and 10. So what will be the ratio, guys? 13 upon 10 expressed as 13 is to 10. 13 known as antecedent and 10 known as consequent. Then talking about property, next property, guys, that is very important, very important. You need to remember this property. What is that? Quantities to be compared must be of the same unit. It should be of the same unit. Very important, very important. See, you cannot compare the marks of a person with his weight. Definitely, right? Marks will be in different unit, weight will be in different unit. So for a good comparison, you need that both the quantities should be of the same kind and same unit. See, two things have been mentioned in the property: same kind. Marks and weights cannot be compared. Now suppose you have weight of 2%. One person's weight is expressed in gram and one person's weight is expressed in kilogram. Again, you cannot compare. You have to have the weights in one unit. That is, either it should be in kg, either it should be in gram, right? Both units won't work. One you are taking in kg and one you are taking in gram, it won't work. You have to make sure that both the quantities are of the same kind, and second, they must be of the same unit. So you cannot compare marks with weights, weight with height, weight, marks. That too in the same unit. Okay. Now, next property, guys. Ratio is always unitless. What's the property? Ratio is always unitless. You will never find ratio showing the unit. Why so? It is because of the very first property that we studied. It said that we are establishing the relationship through division. Now, and the previous property said that the quantities should be in the same unit. Suppose we are comparing the weights of two persons, right? So suppose the weight is 50 and 66 kg, right? 50 kg and 66 kg. Now what happens with the unit? As you divide the numbers, numbers get divided. Along with that, the operation is applicable on the unit also. So this unit will also get cancelled. That is, get divided. How do you find the unit of area, perimeter? Have you ever wondered about it? What is the unit of area? Suppose you need to find the area of rectangle. What is the formula of area of rectangle, guys? Length into breadth. Now suppose the length is in meter, 10 meter, and breadth is also in meter, that is 7 meter. So what happens? 10 into 7. We'll multiply 10 into 7. Okay. Units also get multiplied. Meter into meter. It will become meter square. Right? So whenever an operation is applied, it is not only applied on numbers, it is also applied on units, and thus we arrive at the unit of a particular concept. See, we say in volume we have the unit as cube. How do we have the unit as cube? So what is the formula of the volume of cuboid? L into B into H. So along with the numbers, units will also get multiplied, and ultimately you'll have the unit as cube. Okay, I hope this is very clear that what is the reason behind a ratio being unitless, because along with the numbers, unit will also get divided, and since the unit, both the quantities are going to be in the same unit will cancel, and thus ratio will be unitless. Okay, now very important, ratio is always expressed in lowest form or the simplest form. It is always expressed in lowest or the simplest form. That is, if it has any common factors, we are going to cancel it and always express it in the lowest form. Okay, See, as I took the previous example, 50 is to 66. What are we going to do? We are going to divide it and express it in such a way that only one remains as the common factor. Only one remains as the common factor. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the next one. It says ratio remains unchanged when both the terms are multiplied or divided by the same number. Okay, make sure that you understand this very well. Ratio is going to remain unchanged when both the terms, that is one in numerator and one in denominator, are multiplied by the same number or divided by the same number. Now, how do you understand this property? Let's take an example. Suppose we have a ratio, suppose we have the ratio 4 by 5. Okay. Now, if you multiply numerator and denominator by the same number into 3, so the new ratio would be 12 upon 15. Now, this ultimately has to reach out at 4 by 5. We used to study the concept of equivalent ratios in childhood. It is nothing but the concept, the property of equivalent ratio only. Okay, so when you multiply numerator and denominator by the same number, when you multiply numerator and denominator by the same number, ratio is going to remain unchanged. Similarly, when you are going to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number, ratio is going to remain unchanged. Okay, but if you do like this, you multiply the numerator by 2 and denominator by 3 and say now the ratio is going to remain the same. No, it's not going to remain the same. Okay, so make sure that you remember this property. This is a very important property, that the ratio remains unchanged when both the terms are multiplied or divided by the same number. Okay, then talking about the types of ratios. Inverse ratio, as the name suggests, inverse ratio, reciprocal of the given ratio. So if you have the ratio as, let's say, 4 by 5, this is the given ratio 4 by 5. So what will be the inverse ratio of 4 by 5? Just reciprocal, that's 5 by 4. Now, very important thing, that given ratio, the product of given ratio and its inverse ratio will always be equal to 1. Why so? Because it will get cancelled. So ultimately you will be left with 1. Okay. So first type that we studied, that is inverse ratio. Now talking about the compound ratio. When a ratio is multiplied by itself or some other ratio, the new ratio that you calculate, we call it as compound ratio. Are you getting that? When a ratio is multiplied by itself or some other ratio. See, 9 by 8 into 7 by 3 I did, and the result which I got, that is compound ratio. Even if I multiply 9 by 8 by 9 by 8, that is also a kind of compound ratio that we call as coming in the next slide. Okay, duplicate ratio. Okay, so duplicate ratio is nothing but the square of the given ratio. What is duplicate ratio, guys? It is nothing but the square of the given ratio, right? 3 by 4 into 3 by 4. So this is duplicate ratio. Now tell me, what will be triplicate ratio? That would be cube of the given ratio, right? The given ratio multiplied by itself 3 times. Okay, so that will give you triplicate ratio. Are you getting that? Now, duplicate ratio and triplicate ratio, we are squaring it and cubing it. Now tell me, what will happen in sub-duplicate ratio and sub-triplicate ratio? Sub-duplicate ratio means the square root of the given ratio, right? And sub-triplicate ratio means the cube root of the given ratio. Okay, so that two things you need to remember very well. Okay, now coming to the meaning of proportion. What is proportion, guys? Equality of two ratios, we call it as proportion. That is, when two ratios are equal, we call it as proportion. Basically, again, it is nothing but a concept of equivalent ratio only. Okay, so equality of two ratio is proportion, that is A upon B equals to C upon D. Now talking about the terms and how do you express it. So when two ratios are equal, we call it that they are in proportion. Fine. Now, how do we express it? We express it in this way. A is to B, double semicolon we can call it, and then C is to D. This is nothing but the equal to sign. Okay, this is nothing but the equal to sign. Now, this middle terms B and C, we call it means, and the corner ones, the A and D, we call it extremes. Okay, means and extreme, the middle one B and C means, and the corner ones A and D extremes. Now what happens is, product of means is always equal to product of extremes. This is a very important statement. How come? Just cross multiply them. A and D, A into D is equal to B into C. Yeah, A and D are the extreme terms and B and C are the mean terms. So product of means is always equal to product of extreme. This is again a very important meaning, or I should say the implication of proportion that you need to remember, that proportion is nothing but the equality of ratios, and the terms, the middle terms, we call them means, and the corner ones we call them extremes, and it implies that always product of means is equal to product of extremes. Okay, now very important, continued proportion. Continued proportion, this is again very important. You'll find many questions on this concept. You'll find many questions on this concept. What is this? See, when three quantities of the same kind possess which kind of relationship? A upon B is equal to B upon C. I'll tell you more properly. When three quantities, this is basically talking about three quantities A, B and C. Now these three quantities have a relationship in such a way that A upon B is equal to B upon C. A upon B is equal to B upon C. Then we call these three quantities to be in continued proportion. That these three quantities are in continued proportion. Okay, A, B, C are said to be in continued proportion when A upon B is equal to B upon C. Now when you cross multiply it, AC is equal to B square, right? And we can also write it as square root of AC is equal to B. Now this middle term, we call it as mean proportion. What do we call this middle term as? Mean proportion. And this third term C, we call it as third proportion. Okay, this terminology you need to be aware, because you'll find many questions using this terminology. Find mean proportional to these three terms, find third proportional to these three terms. They'll ask you like this. So you need to remember the middle one, we call it as mean proportional, and the third one we call it as third proportional. Okay, I hope it's pretty clear. I hope it's pretty clear, right? So make sure that you write this in your notes, that in the continued proportion A is to B is to C, B is said to be mean proportional to A and C is said to be third proportional to A and B. Okay, I hope it is clear, crystal clear in your mind. Now properties of proportion, we'll discuss it tomorrow. Today let's practice some questions related to ratio and proportion, the basic questions, or I should say the exam oriented moderate level questions that you will find in your question papers. Okay, so let's begin the practice session of the days. Let's start. So the first question on your screen, it's very easy. Try to solve it by your own. It says, what must be added to each term of the ratio 49:68 so that it becomes 3:4? So that it becomes 3:4. Okay, what must be added to each term. Now here, since we don't have any additional information, we need to assume that the terms are 49 and 68 only. We don't have any additional information about this, so we'll assume the terms are 49 and 68 only. So what must be added to them? A common number we need to add. So let that number be x. Let that number be x. Alright, so what we will do, we'll add x to both the terms, that is 49 plus x, and then we have 68 plus x, which is equal to 3 by 4, which is equal to 3 by 4. Okay, then what we need to do, we just need to cross multiply, that is 4 into 49 plus x equals to 3 into 68 plus x. So that will give you 196 plus 4x equals to 204 plus 3x. Now let's transpose them. X is equal to 204 minus 196, and it's nothing but 8. It's nothing but 8. That is option C. You could have done it through option approach also. Okay, so let's proceed further, guys. See, option approach, how you could have done, you would have first added 3 to the 49 and 68 to 68 plus 3 and found out do you get 3:4. Then it would have been your answer if the ratio would have been 3:4. Okay, so this way you can even proceed with the option approach. Now let's proceed to the next question. It says the students of two classes are in the ratio 5:7. Okay, if 10 students left from each class, the remaining students are in the ratio of 4:6. Then the number of students in each class is. They are asking you to find the original number of students. So do we need to actually solve the entire question? We can easily do it with the option approach. See, the original ratio of students, or I should say boys and girls, somewhat like this, the original ratio is 5:7, right? Students they have given now. Okay, we have got two classes, class 1 and class 2. So we have number of students in class 1 and number of students in class 2. So the original ratio is 5:7. What happened, from each class 10 students left, right? And the new ratio comes out to be 4:6. Now they are asking you to find number of students in each class. We actually need not to solve the entire question. We can quickly check it out that the options, which option is basically can be expressed as 5:7, because this option is nothing but the original students, right? This is not the answer. I was just saying that options are representing what? Number of original students, right? So we just need to check that which option basically is in the ratio 5:7. So 30:40, no, it is 3:4. 25:24, not at all. Then 40:60, then it is 2:3. 50:70. So directly we can say the answer is 5:7, because only option D can be expressed as the ratio 5:7. Okay, that is the original ratio of the students in two classes. I hope it is clear how to proceed with the option approach. Okay, now let's move to the next question, guys. This type of question, it seems little bit complicated, but it's very easy to solve. How? See, if A is to B is 25, if A is to B is 25, then we need to find 10A plus 3B is to 5A plus 2B. Okay, simply what you do, put 2 in place of A, put 5 in place of B. No need to write like this, let A be 2K, let B be 5K, then you are substituting A by 2K. Don't just mess it up. Just substitute A by 2 and B by 5 and then just solve it. Let's do it quickly. So 10 into 2 plus 3 into 5, right? is 2. 5 into 2 plus 2 into 5. So that's 20 plus 15, right? That will give you 35. Then it's 5 into 2, 10. 10 plus 10, 20. So 35 is to 20. We'll have to express the ratio always in the simplest form. It would be 7 is to 4. So do we have any option 7 is to 4? Yes, we do have. That's option A. So I hope it's clear how to proceed with this type of question. Okay, let's proceed to the next question, guys. In a film shooting, A and B received money in a certain ratio. They received money in a certain ratio, and B and C also received the money in the same ratio. That means A upon B is equal to B upon C. If A gets rupees 1,60,000 and C gets rupees 2,50,000, find the amount received by B. So it is basically nothing but the continued proportion it is talking about. B is in the middle position, that is mean proportion we need to find. So we have already studied the property of proportion, mean proportion. How do we find? B is equal to what? Root AC. Root AC, right? We have A, we have C, and we need to find B. So simply multiply these two amount, 1,60,000 into 2,50,000, and then square root it. It's very easy. See, you'll find 2 zeros outside, then again 2 zeros, then you have 4 into 5, that's 20. 2 lakh, that's option A. That's option A. Okay, let's proceed further. Find two numbers such that mean proportion between them is 18 and third proportional between them is 144. Okay, so this type of question you can definitely go by the option approach. Yes, this type of questions you can do it by option approach. How? Find two numbers such that mean proportion between them is 18. Mean proportion between them means what? The first condition that you need to check is first condition that you need to check is mean proportion, that means B, it should be equal to root AC. This is the first condition. That is, you will multiply the options, that is 9 and first let's take the example 9 and 36. You will multiply 9 and 36 and you will see that whether the square root of the product of this number is equal to 18 or not. You need to check this. So mean proportional, is it equal to 18? This is the first condition that you need to check. Okay, and what are they saying? Third proportional between them is 144. Third proportional between them is 144. Now how do you find third proportional? We studied A upon B would be, just a minute, I'll write here. We studied that A upon B is equal to B upon C in case of continued proportion. So mean proportion means, third proportional means we are actually talking about C. So how do you find C? C is equal to B square upon A, right? So you will see that whether B square upon A is equal to 144, B square upon A is equal to 144. So just check which option satisfies these two conditions, and the one which satisfied both the condition, that would be your answer. I hope you are clear with this. I hope you are very clear with this. We need to find two numbers such that the square root of the product of those two numbers is equal to 18, and when the square of second number divided by the first number, you should get 144. We need to find that numbers. Okay, so let's check first option, 9 and 36. So what is the square root of the product of 9 and 36? 3 into 6, 18. So it has satisfied the first condition. Now talking about the second condition. So we have 36 into 36 divided by 9. So 6 4s are 24. Yes, 144. Okay, so the first option itself satisfied both the conditions. So her answer is 9 and 36. Okay, now moving to the next question, guys. Easy one. The mean proportional between 24 and 54 is mean proportional. So directly we need to find the value of b, and b is equal to what? Root of AC, right? So 24 into 54. See, if you do not want to multiply, you can just factorize it. We can write 24 as 6 into 4, right? And we can write 54 as 6 nines are, right? So what will happen? We have one pair of 6, we'll take it as 6, 1 6 out, then 4 can be written as 2, and then square root of 9 is 3. So simply multiply them. 3 to the 6, 6 into 6, 36. That's option D. Okay, so if you remember the relationship well, no, so you'll be able to solve it quickly. You need to remember that mean proportional means b square b is equal to root AC, or b square is equal to AC. So you need to remember this way. If you remember this way, you'll be able to do it very quickly. Okay, now let's move to another question. The triplicate ratio of 4:5 is, we studied triplicate is nothing but the cube root, cube. Subtriplicate is cube root and triplicate is cube. So what is the cube of 4? Yes guys, what is the cube of 4? 64. And what is the cube of 5? It's 125. So that is option C. Okay, now next question. Find three numbers which are in the ratio of 1:2:3 so that the sum of their squares is equal to 504. What are they saying? The numbers are basically in the ratio of 1:2:3. Okay, their squares and the sum of their squares is equal to 504. In this way, in this question, even you can do the option approach, or even you can follow the equation method. See, I'll tell you first the equation method. See, the numbers are in the ratio 1:2:3. That means the number would be 1x plus 2x plus 3x. The numbers would be this, not plus. There will be three numbers, 1x, 2x, 3x. Okay. Now what are they saying? Sum of their squares. Sum of their squares. That means x square plus 2x square plus 3x square is equal to what? 504. So what you can do is you can solve the equation x square plus 4x square plus 3x square equals to 504. Then just add them up. 4 plus 3 7, 7 plus 1 8x square equals to 504. Okay, then divide it by the table of 8. Yeah, and then just find the value of x and then substitute it. Find the value of x and then just substitute it, and you'll get the answer. That is just on solving it, right? This way you can proceed. I think I have done some calculation mistake. Oh yes, it won't be 3 9x square, it would be 9x square. Okay, 14x square equals to 504. Cancel it by the table of 7. And x will be equal to 6. So you got x, but you are not required to find x. You need to find the numbers. So what will be the numbers, guys? 6, 12 and 18. Alright, even you could have gone with the option approach. How? See, majority of all the options are given in the ratio 1:2:3, right? So you cannot directly tell which would be your answer. What you will do, if you have to follow the option approach, you'll just have to square the given numbers and then just add which option gives you the square. Sum of the squares is 504. Like 6 square plus 12 square plus 18 square, you need to find out whether you get 504. If yes, it's your answer. This way you can do it by the option approach. Okay, so I hope I'm pretty clear with how we need to proceed with this type of questions. Okay, now talking about this question, similar pattern we have done of this question, so I hope you'll be able to do it. Do this question as homework and let me know the answer in the comment box. Okay, simple, it's very simple. It's given x is to y equals to 2 is to 3 and you need to find 5x plus 2y is to 3x minus 5. So just substitute it and let me know the answer in the comment box. Okay guys, so this is something all about today's session. We'll practice some more questions of ratio and proportion tomorrow, and we are going to discuss the properties of proportion also that we used to do in childhood, that componendo, dividendo, alternando, invertendo, everything, because you'll find some applications of those properties also, application based questions in your PYQs also. So we are going to discuss the properties of proportion and some more interesting questions of ratio and proportion in tomorrow's session again at 8 p.m. So make sure that you join tomorrow's session and practice some more questions with me and get an ace on this topic. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching today's session. See you tomorrow. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye. Thank you so much.